story of Kaiser begins with the end of Graham-Paige. Joseph Fraser took over their automotive operations during the Second World War, and a design for a new post-war model was put into development. But Graham-Paige would decide to withdraw from the auto industry shortly thereafter, so Fraser brought in industrialist Henry Kaiser to put the cars into production. The cars would be sold as both a Kaiser and a Fraser, with the Kaiser priced from $2,100 to $2,500 and the Fraser being $200 more. They used a 124-inch wheelbase, were 203 inches long, and weighed under 3,600 pounds. The engine was a flathead 3.7-liter, 226 cubic inch Continental 6 with 100 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque, with the 112 horsepower version being optional. But it was its aircraft-inspired styling that caught the industry off guard, and the cars would be dubbed the post-war wonders, causing the leading manufacturers to rush to catch up. 1949 added new body styles, including a four-door convertible, or phaeton, and a utility sedan, or hatchback. And in 1950, a smaller Henry J model would be introduced for the 1951 model year. It was 175 inches long on a 100-inch wheelbase and weighed 2,400 to 2,500 pounds. The Hurricane flat 2.2-liter, 134 cubic inch 4 and 2.6-liter, 191 cubic inch 6-cylinder engines were sourced from Willis, with 68 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque, and 80 horsepower and 128 pound-feet of torque, with prices starting around $1,300. The big cars would be restyled for 1951, with the Kaiser being 209 inches long on a 119-inch wheelbase, and the Fraser 208 inches long on a 124-inch wheelbase, with engine output up to 115 horsepower. But it would be the last year of the Fraser brand, with its top-end Manhattan model moving to Kaiser for 1952, when the base Special was renamed Virginian, and 1953 would see a higher-end Carolina model, as well as a Dragon hardtop. And by this time, Kaiser had taken full control of Willys Overland, using its name to create a subsidiary in Brazil, selling the complete line of Jeep-based vehicles there, and in the U.S. was selling the small Arrow under the Willis name. Introduced in 1952 at $1,700 on a 108-inch wheelbase, it was nearly 190 inches long, using the same engines as the smaller Henry J's, which for 1953 could be ordered through the Sears catalog as the Allstate, equipped with Sears-branded accessories, such as tires and battery. Kaiser then added the fiberglass-bodied Darrin sports car for 1954, with its unusual sliding doors that disappeared into the fender. On a 100-inch wheelbase, it was 183 inches long, was 2,400 pounds, and used a 2.6-liter Willis 6, producing 90 horsepower and 127 pound-feet of torque. Starting at $3,700, it had a top speed of 95 miles an hour and did the quarter mile in just under 20 seconds. That same year, they formed IKA, or Industrias Kaiser Argentina, becoming the first company to manufacture cars there. They started with the Jeep CJ, quickly expanding to other Jeep variants, such as the wagon, or Estancia, the pickup, or Bequeno, and the panel van, or Utilitario, and then the Manhattan sedan as the Carabella. But after 1955, U.S. car production would be ended, causing some to refer to Kaiser as the post-war blunder, not having survived a decade and just leaving Willis to produce Jeep products. But that did include the new forward control line of trucks and vans. Then in 1960, Brazil would revive the Aero sedan, and Argentina would use Alfa Romeo body tooling for the new Willis-powered Kaiser Bergantin, while starting to build Renaults under license alongside the Carabella. There would also be an updated version of the rural Jeep wagon in Brazil, followed by a pickup version in 1961. 1962 would see the introduction of the Willis Interlagos, Brazil's first sports car, essentially just an Alpine A108 built under license. It would also be the last year of the Carabella, while IRA would start building AMCs under license using Kaiser-built Continental engines. A new Aero sedan was developed for 1963, and was considered the first fully Brazilian car, although mechanically it was little changed aside from the addition of dual carbs. In the U.S., Kaiser Willys became Kaiser Corp, and Willys became Jeep, with a new line of more conventional light trucks that would also find their way to South America. A luxury version of the Aero was introduced in 1966, called the Ida Maratti. It had rosewood dash trim, leather seats, radio, air conditioning, and a bigger 3-liter 6. The Kaiser Torino of the same year was essentially an AMC Rambler with updated styling by Pininfarina. But a year later, IKA would be taken over by Renault, with the Torino and other models being rebadged as such, and Kaiser Argentina moving fully to Renault products by mid-1970. Ford would buy Willys Overland of Brazil in 1968, continuing the existing models but with Ford engines. The Aero would continue until 1971 to be replaced by the Ford Maverick, and the Rural would survive until 1975. While in the U.S., Jeep would become part of AMC in 1970, putting an end to the final remnant of Kaiser. So as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below and like and subscribe.